This kind of car was never designed to be a showstopper. It was constructed to subtly gain respect on British roadways. However, a detailed examination of the Rover P4 reveals that it had far more engineering ambition and character than most people ever acknowledged. Produced between 1949 and 1964, it became a common sight outside government buildings, offices, and peaceful suburban houses in post-war Britain. The Rover P4 remained constant, almost unyielding in its personality, while faster and more modern vehicles came and went around it. Furthermore, most people were unaware that, beneath its serene exterior, it contained engineering concepts and design choices that were both audacious and extremely uncommon for the time. You'll learn about the subtle nuances, odd design decisions, and subdued genius that made this vehicle so memorable for those who really know it in the coming minutes. You must first comprehend the world in which the Rover P4 was born in order to comprehend it. In the late 1940s, while Britain was still recuperating from the war, automobiles were supposed to be respectable, dependable, and useful rather than ostentatious or quick. Rover took this idea seriously, but they sought to create something more sophisticated rather than just another simple transportation device. Surprisingly, the P4 was made to feel nearly formal, as though it belonged in a gentleman's club instead of a racetrack. This was done on purpose. Rover aimed to produce a car that felt secure, composed, and powerful in contrast to other manufacturers' aggressive, athletic appearance. It was more than just transportation for those who drove it, particularly professionals and public servants. It was a declaration of steadiness in an evolving world. And part of the reason it continued to be produced for so long was that emotional connection. However, this is one of the most peculiar facts that many people overlook. The Rover P4's early iterations included a design element that some found a little odd and somewhat futuristic. The grille had a single central headlamp installed in the center. It was soon dubbed Cyclops Eye by people. That must have seemed like something from science fiction when you saw it on British highways in the early 1950s. Although the public's response was divided, Rover thought this design enhanced light focus and gave the vehicle a unique personality. While some found it uncomfortable, others appreciated its originality. Rover eventually decided to swap it out for a more conventional twin headlamp configuration, which was a silent but significant move. Fascinatingly, this shift was brought about by public comfort rather than technical failure. It demonstrates how innovation and acceptance have to be balanced in design even back then. Now, the Rover P4's true strength was found in its driving behavior, not in its outward appearance. The fact that it was designed with an almost compulsive attention on ride comfort and stability was something that most people were unaware of. Long trips were unexpectedly comfortable because the suspension was adjusted to calmly absorb bumpy British roads. The P4 put smoothness above speed at a period when many automobiles still felt harsh and rigid. This was not a coincidence. Rover engineers felt that an automobile should shield its occupants from traffic congestion rather than intensify it. This signified something special to drivers. You didn't simply drive the P4. You also had a calm, almost floating experience with it. It was later described by numerous owners as a vehicle that never rushed you, and that sentiment came to define it. The P4's engine design, particularly the sleek straight six units added in later iterations, was another undiscovered advantage. These engines were designed for silent assurance rather than aggressive performance. What surprised me was how sophisticated they felt for their time. The P4's engine produced power in a serene, almost effortless way, while other vehicles vibrated and faltered at higher speeds. Rover engineers used cautious tuning and meticulous balancing to achieve mechanical smoothness. As a result, the vehicle felt unwaveringly solid but not particularly quick. That was more important to drivers in the 1950s and early 1960s than actual speed. It gave you the impression that the car would never take you by surprise in a bad way. It is rare for contemporary automobiles to have that level of emotional dependability. Another aspect of the Rover P4's personality emerges when you step inside. The inside was created to feel respectable and comfortable, akin to a tastefully equipped living room or office. Older drivers particularly valued the formality produced by the wood trim, plush seats, and high driving position. What's fascinating, though, is that early models had a collar-mounted gear shift, which freed up room and enhanced the vehicle's classic driving feel. Control and decorum were more important than sportiness or excitement. Drivers were able to concentrate on the road without being distracted by the purposefully minimal dashboard arrangement. This interior felt more comforting than complex to many owners, particularly professionals in the post-war era. Driving became less of a chore and more of a calm daily ritual. The Rover P4 had a reputation over time that extended beyond individual ownership. In Britain, government agencies and police departments started employing it on a regular basis. The explanation was straightforward. It exuded authority without being threatening, was dependable, and was comfortable for extended periods of time. Most people are unaware that the public's perception of it was enhanced by this official use. People's perception of the P4 as a reliable and serious machine was strengthened when they saw it in official positions and uniforms. It was respected even though it wasn't showy, particularly in a nation reconstructing its identity following the war, that subdued authority became one of its most potent cultural characteristics. But no automobile remains at the top indefinitely. The automotive industry was undergoing fast change as the 1960s drew near. Sleeker, more contemporary, and performance-oriented designs were emerging. Despite its advantages, the Rover P4 started to seem like it belonged in a different era. It's crucial to realize that its decline was neither abrupt nor dramatic. Rather, it gradually disappeared as more recent models, such as the Rover P5 and subsequent P6, introduced monocoque structure, enhanced performance, and more contemporary design. Once a strength, the P4's conventional body-on-frame design suddenly felt antiquated in light of automotive engineering's future. Thus, production gradually came to an end in 1964 after a lengthy and esteemed existence. Nevertheless, the Rover P4 was never really forgotten. It did not disappear due to failure or controversy. Rather, it quietly withdrew, leaving behind a reputation based on modest engineering competence, comfort, and dignity. For those who drove or owned one, it was more than just a vehicle. It was an integral part of daily existence in a very different Britain. A Britain where dependability was more important than excitement and where things proceeded a little more slowly. And that might be the most significant unspoken fact about the Rover P4. It was never intended to be dramatic in the sense of mythology. Just by performing its duties so effectively, for so long, and with such quiet confidence, it became legendary. What do you remember most about a Rover P4 if you have ever seen one in your life? Perhaps as a passenger, a driver, or simply parked on a quiet street?